fitness fans. We'll work on something. Give me an idea. Pop something in the comments. I'd be interested to hear. So, hi everybody. Welcome to today's Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about something that I read not too long ago, actually by Susan Garrett. She's awesome. Please go and visit her site. She's a multiple-time world champion in agility, and she just gives the most awesome advice for agility dogs or anything like that. But she said the following. Many people, when they're going to work with their dogs or train their dogs or do a sport with the dogs, especially for agility or flyball, all of those things, they say, oh, no, we're just doing it for fun. And this was quite it was quite a thing for me. I do protection sports, and a lot of people go, oh, I just want to try it out with my dog. Let's do it for fun. But let's think about that for a little bit. If you're doing it just for a hobby, is training in a dog sport just a hobby? Can anybody give me a non-dog hobby? So anything that you're doing that's not dog involved. I crochet, can you believe it? And I go to gym. There's lots of non-hobby things like what people just do for fun, like go play golf. But there's no risk of consequence if something goes wrong there. Golf, okay, if you don't know what you're doing, you can pull it back, you can strain something. Crocheting, if you don't know what you're doing there, you're just wasting some wool, and your end piece is going to look a little bit like, oh, no, not really. You have to learn a few things before you can do it, but the risk of consequence is not very much. So some hobbies carry very little risk, but then some hobbies carry loads of risk. Let's look at paragliding. People go out paragliding as a hobby. Huge risk there if you don't know what you're doing. Some people do weightlifting or powerlifting as a sport, or hobby sport, because let's face it, it's not like huge money involved if you're just going in and you're not going full flat out. Huge risk if you don't know what you're doing. You can so easily injure your body. What about, this was one of the examples that Susan used, chainsaw juggling. Huge risk if you don't know what you're doing. So there's various levels of hobbies, and some carry huge risk of consequence and some not so much. But when you are working with your dogs, what are you doing? Are you doing it for fun, or are you doing it because you want to have fun? So, for example, doing something for fun like golf or crocheting or something, it's no risk of consequences. But some hobbies carry huge risks. Now, when you go into dog sports, is it just for fun? You have to consider this question. Are you doing it for fun, or do you do it because you want to have fun? The only way you're going to have fun with your dog is if your dog also is having fun with you. Doing it for fun makes it very whimsical. But you must remember that when it comes to dog sports, although it's just a hobby, even though, oh, I don't want to compete or anything like that, I'm just doing these things just to have some fun with my dog, you have another living body with you, which you carry responsibility for. So there's another living being involved. You have a higher responsibility to your having fun. So especially when you're looking at things like agility and flyball, those dogs go insane. They are loving it. They're out there. It's like, oh, organized chaos. They love it. And it looks like so much fun. But those handlers are not there just for fun. Yes, their dogs are having fun. So in order for them to have fun, they've got to make sure that their dog has the ability and the body to enjoy what they're doing. So these type of sports look like loads of fun, but they've done a lot to get there, and they've done a lot to really appreciate and earn that fun. That fun is just so much sweeter. I do things like I do a bite sport, so I do IGP. Oh, the dogs love it. They go out there and they bite the guy. It's like, oh, awesome. But what is happening with the dog and what is happening with that dog's body? They are out there. They're going full force, and that's what you want. You don't want a dog to maybe bite. You want them to go out there with full force. They're using all their power. And if they don't know what they're doing, there's problems. So when you're looking at dog sport and agility and flyball just for fun, you're not having a lot of consciousness thought, and there's not a lot of consciousness of their movement. What are you focusing on with your dog when you're going out to the field or practicing at home, wherever you are right now? Even after lockdown, when we can go back out on the field, think about this a little bit. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the fun when you are looking at their performance? Are you looking on the fun when you're looking at the execution of an exercise? Because if a dog is not prepared and you just, oh, let's just go have some fun. And in agility, there's these huge planks, there's the A-frame, there's the teeter, seesaw. In protection work, there's a helper that's moving. It's a moving target. They've got to go onto the sleeve. They've got to show huge attitude. There's a jump, there's the A-frame. All of these things, there's lots of equipment and things involved that a dog has to work his way through and work his body around under speed. So if you're working with your dog, are you conscious of their movements? Are you focusing on their performance? Because they're just out there. So if you're not consciously looking at what your dog is doing with his body in the movement, a dog can, for example, quite easily slip on a piece of equipment, tweak a muscle, have a bad experience because of it. There's a slight pang. You know, when you twist your ankle, you can still walk, but it's not comfortable. And if somebody says, well, come, let's go do this again, and the last time you did that, you twisted your ankle, you're going to go, I don't know, or all right. And even if you go and do it again, you're not going to do it with full gusto, or you're not going to do it the same way you did before. So where your dog has tweaked a muscle or slipped on a piece of equipment and he's now a little bit weary of that piece of equipment, he's going to perform a little bit differently the next time he goes around the course or the next time he goes to training. He's going to look for something a little bit more fun. If he approaches that thing that gave him that owie, that pain, he's going to look at it with a little bit of skepticism. So then it will start to lead to maybe a bad form on the next time you run a course. And then the performance becomes inconsistent. Now you don't know what's happening with your dog. He did it before. He may be just a bit lazy today. Or the execution then becomes varied. The dogs are not doing the same as what they were before. And when people are seeing this, the dogs are labeled as a failure, or maybe this is not the sport for them, when it's really not the case. I mean, let's just take a look at what can happen with the dog. Here we go. So here's the dog just coming through the tunnel. If you can see how his body has to escape because he's going through so quickly. Everything that happens to that body, and anything can happen. You can easily tweak a muscle. Will he go through the tunnel again with as much confidence and gusto as he did the first time? We don't know. Even if it comes to, let's see here, throwing a frisbee for your dog. These things happen. You know, is it because your dog is really not good at playing catch? Is it because his body wasn't ready for the movement? Is it because he wasn't strong enough to control his body and so he slammed into the tree? It's not always that your dog is not good enough for the sport. Sometimes it's because, oh, we're just doing it for fun, and you weren't too sure how to get your dog started off the ground. You saw other people do it. Their dogs looked like they were having fun. So, oh, let me try with my dog. And that's what happened. And why does this happen? Why? It's because many times it's not about what your dog can do. It's more about what other people expect you to be doing at this stage of your training. And that's really dangerous, guys, really dangerous. Focus on the well-being of your athlete, your dog. Let's just take, for example, I love this picture. Here the dog's having fun, the guy's throwing the frisbee, the dog's jumping up, and there's never anything wrong with the dog jumping. And you see some of these Facebook things where dogs are jumping sky high, and many times it's the Mallee or the American Pit Bull. They run up the trees and they're jumping sky high, and it's awesome to see. And the jumping through the air is never the problem. It's the landing. It's always the landing that's the problem. But your dog should be able to do this because other dogs are doing it. And oh, we can see there was some soft sand or there was a mattress, the dog's landing fine. But how many times did that dog have to do that in order to be that good? How many times did he land? And how many times was the landing successful? Just for fun. It's a dangerous thing when you're working with your dog. He's your partner. He's your guy. You have to look after him. You have to protect him. Hi, Martin. How are you? Thanks for joining. So when you're looking at your dog, please be very careful, because I know in clubs, oh, your dog should be doing this by now. And you then push your dog, but your dog may not be ready for that next stage of fun. So advocate for your dog. Focus on the well-being of your athlete in front of you. And when I say athlete, I'm talking about even your pet dog, the Maltese. He runs around the garden like a maniac. He's an athlete. Okay? But all these things that I'm talking about here now, the same applies to canine fitness. Because I'm involved in it, so I see a lot of fitness happening on the internet, etc. And let's just hop onto a peanut and see if he can do it, because other dogs can do it. It's not that difficult. Peanut's just about so high. He can jump up. It's just for fun. Let's see what he can do. So your dog jumps up onto the peanut. But what are you looking for in his performance? Let's take a look here. What are you looking for in your dog's performance when he just jumps up onto the peanut? What are you looking for in the execution of his task? This photograph here is beautiful. It is a picture of a seriously advanced dog, and the person with him knows what they're doing. They know the angulations of the shoulders and how far apart the feet must stand. They know what they're looking for when they put a dog on a piece of equipment. Any dog that goes onto any piece of equipment has absolutely mastered the flat ground, mastered it. And any unstable surface, like a peanut, like the donut that you see here with the dog, all of these things are advanced. And we see it like, oh, wow, look at that. Looks so interesting. Looks like a bit of fun. Let's try it with my dog. But you need to know, what are you looking at in the performance of your dog and in the execution of that exercise. Many times you'll put a dog on a peanut and they're not ready for it. And what happens is their legs will splay or they are slipped down the side, and you are causing an injury. When you're looking at a dog performing an exercise of any type of fitness, what muscles are you engaging in that exercise? And for what purpose do you know? Do you know why you're doing an exercise? How is the form of the dog? Any exercise that you do with your dog, like with humans, if we go to the gym, we do curls, 3 sets of 10 curls. Many people stop the curl halfway and they get, let me show you. They curl, where am I? They curl and they don't extend their arm. And then they get a short bicep. So they curl and they extend the arm this much, because the weight's really heavy, instead of stretching it out, and they bring the weight up because it looks really good in the gym. You've got this big weight, but they're shortening the bicep. And you're doing this, what, 10 repetitions, 3 times, every time you do arms. What are you doing? You're creating not the best shaped bicep that you can have. You can have a much better one that functions better. The same with the dog. What are you looking for in his form? Your canine fitness, a lot of people, and you admire the thought behind it, but it's never just for fun. The dog must be having fun, of course, but you must know why you're doing something, especially if your dog is in a sport. You need to know why you're training something. Certain sports have certain areas of danger for the body. So you want to strengthen those areas. Some dogs have weaknesses in the body, so you want to strengthen those areas in the body for the sport that you're doing. So please, it's not just for fun. It's for a purpose. Even if you think, oh, I'll just go let my dog swim. But if you've been doing some sport just for fun, and there's been a small tweak, and a dog that's not used to swimming, sometimes that can be the worst thing that you do. For swimming, if the dog goes into a pool, they're just like going to be pushing their legs, and they are pushing hard. They're trying to stay above water. And if they've got a small strain in that muscle, it's the last thing they need. They need slow and steady movement so that that strain can heal. So swimming for a healthy dog, yes, awesome. But swimming for a dog that may have a tweaked muscle, and you won't know because you don't know how his form was before and his form was after the exercise, because it's just for fun, you can be making something worse, even with that or the best of intentions. So let's just take, for example, a simple exercise like a sit. Is a sit just a sit? This is just one example of why your fitness is not always just for fun. It's only fun for the dog. But for the person doing the program and the person executing or asking the dog to execute a particular exercise, it's not for fun. It's for a particular purpose. So in this one example, we're looking at the simple exercise of asking your dog to sit. But how we ask him to sit, it can be executed in 3 different ways. And those 3 ways would then work 3 different areas of the body, all depending on what you want worked. Or if you're doing it just for fun and you go to a normal dog club and they go, oh, sit your dog, and your dog sits and it sits skew, and that's great because he just sat, but he's sitting skew, and that's the sit that he's learnt, and that's the one that he repeats all the time. He's now executed it incorrectly time after time, and I've seen it. It causes an imbalance in the body because he's overstretched the one side. A perfect example is the normal puppy sit. They either sit way back on their bum, like really back, and their whole stomach's all curved in, or they sit on one hip, and then that hip gets favored. And I've seen it where, especially if they're crating their dogs or whatever, the dogs are sitting on the one side all the time, it can cause a misalignment of the hips. You don't know it, and then when you're in the peak of your dog, there's an extra wear and tear on the joints or an imbalance in the body muscles, and you're sitting with problems. So these are the things we want to avoid always. So when you are training your dog for any kind of sport, consider, if it's just for fun, who is the fun for? You or the dog? The dog must always have fun, but in order for the dog to have fun, you must be able to observe your dog. You must be able to first learn about the exercises or the sport that you're talking about, learn about what is required of the dog's body, how they can get around these things, and start way, way down on the foundation. Don't let them just, oh, they're just jumping over things. Great, if it's agility. The dog's got to learn to gather his body. Those stopping muscles, or slowing down muscles in any case. Then to have that ability to apply force to go over, not just up, but up and over, so that he's hitting the jumps properly. The ability to turn in the shoulder. There's a lot of pressure on those dogs. So first you need to get them ready in separate areas of their body to handle those things. And that's why we as people, or even puppies, we go exploring first, and puppies are all over the place. And they're learning, and they're getting their balance, and they're starting to see what muscles they must use where. If your dog is going to a new field and it's a new training area, he also has to learn about what muscles he needs to use when he needs to do something. And you'd say, like, really, Angela, the dog knows how to walk, or it jumps around the house in any case. But take for yourself, even if you are quite a fit person, you go jogging, whatever the case may be, and I take you to gym, and I ask you to do a particular setup that you've never done before. It's difficult for you. I've had a person that actually doesn't know how to engage his middle back muscles. And so he couldn't pick up things, and he was causing a lot of strain. And once you show them which muscles, and a fit person, there's nothing wrong with them, but it's new for the body. And the same thing happens with your dogs. You need to show them from foundational level the new muscles that need to be used to get that muscle memory and to get that fascia and that proprioception around those muscles, so that they know what they must do when they need to do it. And that's the whole point of your fitness and conditioning programs. So I hope this has got your mind thinking. I hope you go out with your dog with a new lens and filter over your eyes and see that, yes, it's just a hobby, but your hobby includes another living being. So look after your dogs. If you need to know anything further about how you can make your dogs fitter, or how you can keep their bodies safer for the sports that they're doing, or if your dog is just like seriously active and you want to get some exercise going for them, especially in this lockdown times, we put up programs for you where you can work your dog in your lounge, no problem. I'm Angela Herr. I'm a certified canine athlete specialist and a canine myofascial release practitioner. You can find me at the Biokinetic Canine. That is where I am. My website is thebiokineticcanine.com. Get it right? Yes. There we go. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Share with people that you think will find benefit. Hey, Angela. Hi. How are you? Angela is not a stranger to injuries, and she's awesome. So, and she understands the importance of fitness. And yes, you do save major future injuries. If you want to, pop me an email. I'm happy to talk to you. fit@thebiokineticcanine.com. Please remember to give me a like, share with your friends, and I'll see you next time. Have the most awesome weekend, guys. Awesome weekend. Hug your dogs. Hug them from me. And cheers.